I'm the Geeky Amreeki,
I'm George Motz, hamburger expert.
and you're watching Distant Socializing. Let everybody know briefly who you are.
My name is George Motz. I'm a hamburger I'm known as America's hamburger expert, but lately I've become, it's gone worldwide. It's become an international thing. I've gone around the world teaching hamburger instruction. I've written a number of books. I've rewritten Hamburger America now 3 times. It's a guidebook to American hamburgers, or specifically about hamburger joints you must go to that are mostly mom and pop joints. Before that, I made a film called Hamburger America, which actually led to the book. I've had 3 TV shows on hamburgers. I'm the guest on the Burger Show currently. I'm also my own host on the Burger Scholar Sessions. And before that, many years ago, 8 years ago, I had a show on the Travel Channel called Burgerland. And there's other things going on, but those are the sort of the bigger ones, the bigger picture ones.
You also had a show called Made in America, right?
Oh, I did have, yeah, sorry. Thank you for pointing that out. I had another show called Made in America on Travel Channel also, which actually led to the Burger Show, to Burgerland. Made in America was a very cool show. One of my favorite shows I've ever worked on. I went around the country and to factories of my choice and made things in American factories from beginning to end.
I did this shoot for somebody last year. This guy came from Bahrain, and he needed me to, well, can't say last year. It's been a couple years because now Bahrain can't come to Doha, and Doha people can't go to Bahrain because like the blockade and all this politics stuff. Anyway, before the blockade, which I guess is now 3 years, time has bled so bad because of Corona, you know?
Yeah.
But one of the places he needed me to shoot was the place where they make tissue and toilet paper. And it was so amazing to watch all the stuff like whipping around and coming together. I'm like, oh my God, I want to come back here just to film this.
Oh, yeah.
It's just like one giant Rube Goldberg machine or whatever, you know?
I think we visited 36 or 37 factories over the one season that we did the show. And it was fascinating. I mean, everything from cars, motorcycles. We did a hot sauce. We did jelly beans. I mean, it was really incredible, absolutely incredible. And some of the greatest people in America who are working in these factories that are just there to do a great job. It was really an eye opener. You know, I've lived in the city, outside the city in suburban New York for my entire life. So to get out into America, not just for hamburgers, but to see like actual Americans, you know, working on cars and innovating was very, very cool. Very cool.
Yeah, I love watching people who've been doing it for a while and they get so fast and they have like these shorthand tricks they can do and stuff. It's really interesting.
One of the coolest. I'll just tell you one quick story. Is that was at the Cadillac factory. We were making Cadillacs, and we were trying to figure out. We had to, you know, the show was only I think a half an hour long, so we had to pick and choose which stages of production we wanted to actually be involved with. And so we actually walked through the entire production line for each thing we were doing. We're at Cadillac. And we're saying, okay, so we're going to take you now from like the assembly of the chassis to the paint tank, where we dip the actual chassis into the paint tank. I was like, oh, that's cool. And we're walking past these two girls who had these gloves on. They were just rubbing the outside of a Cadillac. That's their job, is to rub the outside of the Cadillac. I said, what are you two doing? What's going on? I said, oh, we're looking for burrs. If there's any burrs, it gets sent back for more polishing. Like, wait a minute, your job is to rub Cadillacs before they go into the paint tank? So I said, we're definitely going to be visiting you. So we ended up putting them on the show. And it was like, I think it was mind blowing because people think, oh yeah, here's how you put a wheel on. Here's how you build an engine. But then to meet the 2 girls that rub, every Cadillac gets rubbed by 2 girls. I mean,
yeah. Yeah, and they have to do that whole thing to find any little blemish that's crazy.
Literally, it's one on each side of the car, just rubbing the car.
Like car fluffers.
I wasn't going to go there, but okay, yeah.
All right, so I have a thing that I want to say real quick, and I sincerely mean this, which is why I contacted you anyway. I would have been satisfied just watching and stuff, but there are a few hosts, like in my experience as a documentary filmmaker and being in front of the camera some and everything, that I really enjoy for different reasons and stuff. So I really liked. I don't know if you ever saw the show Fight World with Frank Grillo
Yeah.
on Netflix. So I thought that was really cool. I thought he was a good host. I like Guy Fieri
Yep.
for Diners, Drive-ins, and Dives or whatever. I almost always say Diners, Dumpsters. I don't know why. Gordon Ramsay for like the Kitchen Nightmares, the British
Sure.
and the American. Sean Evans for Hot Ones, you know, a
Sean
great
Evans.
interviewer. And of course, Anthony Bourdain, still like so frustrating and depressing, but everything he did basically, but especially
Everything.
like Parts Unknown and stuff. And then I put you up there in the same like pantheon or whatever as these guys. It's a completely different thing. But like watching the first episode of Burger Scholar, like I had seen you before, but that, I don't know, man, like how you're just you. You're not trying to do anything else. And even if there's mistakes, like you leave the mistakes in, and it's really, really fun. And not just like because of the presentation, but you know, how you look with the hair and stuff. I know that's you. It's not like, well, let me make my hair crazy or whatever. It is what it is. How did you get into like the hosting part?
I'm just going to turn off my email. I'm sorry about that. I just heard it go ding. Turn that off.
That's fine.
My bad.
Are we here, still? Uh-oh, we lost him. Oh.
2 hours later.
Am I safe in assuming that you have somebody who helps you with tech stuff?
No. I'm just trying to turn off the email and somehow I lost everything. I have an old computer.
Yeah.
And it says to be failing me. It's old like me. No, the good news about that show is that I don't actually edit the show. I don't know if you know that. I'm also not alone in the show. I actually am alone when we're recording it, except for my girlfriend and my daughter helping me out. Because of COVID, we're trying to, stay distant and not have crews come to my house, because we're actually filming the show is filmed in my living room, in my house. Yeah. We actually turn the set around so that we're facing into the living room. My kitchen, obviously, like everyone else, I think out there, I don't have an island in my house. I used to a long time ago, but this house that I have now, everything faces the wall. So we decided to turn the entire kitchen around so that we're facing out with a better shot of my entire home.
Yeah.
That's why it looks like that. But it's really just the three of us. It's myself, my girlfriend, and my daughter. We have the producer and the director on a Zoom call right next to the camera A. And then we have two editors who actually work on the show and do promos and cuts. So, I mean, really, they make me look very good. But though we do, I mean, I'm a former director of photography, a former filmmaker and DP. So for me to go out and set up lights and cameras, I actually like it a lot. So that tech I've got cameras, lighting, old school camera work, and I know how to do audio. So I can do all that stuff myself. It's kind of daunting. Most people don't do it because it's very difficult to try to figure a lot of stuff out and have the brain space for it. Sometimes I nearly fail at doing that. So a lot of times when I'm actually in there and I'm making mistakes and they leave all the mistakes in, it's because I'm thinking about like, how's my wardrobe? Does it look okay? Was the audio? Can you hear me? Is the lighting okay? And also, I'm also thinking about Hamburger history at the same time.
Yeah.
It's a little complicated, but how did I get into hosting? That's a good question. It's a short story. It was kind of an accident, just like my whole hamburger thing was an accident to begin with as well. But what happened was in the very beginning, I made a film I was a filmmaker, obviously, and I made a film about hamburgers almost 20 years ago. I started working on it in 2001 called Hamburger America. And that film got picked up by the Sundance Channel. And for an 18-month, a year and a half run, they bought the rights to it, picked up a couple of fans. Someone asked me to make a book. I made a second book. I made a TV show, and it just turned into that. But before I made the TV show, a friend of mine said, who's a producer, he said, you really should consider getting in front of the camera. I said, no, I'm behind the camera. I'm not that guy. And they said, no, you really should think about it. So we filmed a test episode of what would become the exact template for Burgerland, the TV show on Travel Channel. And we sent it to Travel Channel and didn't hear back. Actually, we actually sent it to a bunch of networks and everyone turned us down. And I didn't care. I was like, you know what? I've got a great life. I've got a family. I'm having a great time. I do what I want. And then all of a sudden I got a weird phone call from Travel Channel saying, would you like to host a show for us? And I said, is it about hamburgers? Because that's all I know. They said, no, it's about America. I said, well, I can handle that. Sure, why not? And I said, I'll make you a deal. I'll host your whatever this show is you're talking about America. which became Made in America, of course. But would you agree to make 2 test episodes of a show I'd like to do, which is the show you saw the test reel for? And they said to me, they said, we agree. And I said, we like you because we saw this. Remember the story was many years ago when Travel Channel said we saw 100 different reels of people that could be the new host of Made in America. And then we saw yours. And I'm not kidding, George. We literally threw everything else in the garbage and wanted to make sure you were available. So I said, I don't believe you. That's not possible. Then I realized what was happening at the time at Travel Channel. They were looking for hosts that were real, that had real passion and real knowledge. At the time, and if you know Travel Channel, some good people went through there, but they didn't know the subject. They were just really good hosts. They were hired, they were hired guns from casting, from central casting. They were trying to get to real people. So Travel Channel at one point had a bunch of real people, including, of course, Anthony Bourdain. Anthony Bourdain actually jumped ship right when I got there. But they're looking for real people, and that's how it started. That's really how it started. And the show did well. We ended up making Burgerland. We did the 2 test episodes that rolled into a full season, and then everything changed. Travel Channel, there was a big executive shift, and we went back and asked for more money, and they said, no, your show's too expensive. We're actually about to cut your budget. And I was like, we can't cut the budget. They wanted me to do a Guy Fieri style show where you pick up crews on the road. And on our show, Burgerland, we were traveling with the crew.
Yeah.
You travel with 11 dudes on the road, it gets expensive and kind of weird. So,
well, I think the more you work with somebody too, you get like a shorthand going, and you kind of know what's what. So in the long run, yeah, exactly.
Make a much better show when you're working. And my guys were dialed in. By the end of the first season, they were like, "We're in your head." I was like, "You sure you want to be there?" But they were in my head, and they got it. They were in the pocket, man. And we had made a great show. I was very happy with the show. They asked me to cut here and cut there, and I was like, "There's no way we're gonna cut more." And so I said, "Forget it. When we're done with the show." And the problem was, I didn't realize that when I left Travel Channel, that I was basically I was an on-air pariah. Like nobody wanted me. I was someone else's boyfriend. I was like, bad news. I was just because nobody wanted to pick up someone else's old host. So years went by, I did nothing. I shouldn't say I did nothing. I did lots. I created a spatula. I wrote a cookbook. I started doing TV appearances, and I started being known as a guy who could cook and become a chef. And I started talking about opening a restaurant, which I'm actually doing now. And it just got weirder and weirder. And then suddenly somebody came to me and they said, "We want you for the burger show, but not as a host. We want to invite you on as a resident expert." And I said, "Sure, I can do that." And then that, of course, as we know, rolled into the quarantine Burger Scholar sessions where I'm the host.
Which is so simple, but it's still one of my favorite things that I've watched throughout the whole pandemic. You know what I mean?
Thank you. We do nothing. It's like there's nothing to it, really. It's just me. The whole idea, this is how the network, by the way, we're supposed to do 2-minute pieces. That was supposed to be like, we just did some content out there. George, if we sent you cameras, could you film yourself, set up audio lighting, and it's just you talking about let's pick 2 subjects, 2 hamburgers. And they ended up, the editor got a hold of it, and he was like, "Whoa, this is awesome. I want to do more." He ended up cutting it into 3 or 4-minute pieces. And then the network called me and asked me for 4 more. And then they started talking about how, we have a first season of Burger Scholar. I'm like, what? How do we have a season? We're doing like little bits, little things. And suddenly now we got the agents on the phone, lawyers are talking, and now we've got a show, a real show happening.
Yeah, it's so good, man. It's so fun, and I love the improv, like the burns and stuff. I love when you get burns.
Real. Those are all real
all the time. I could tell.
Yeah.
So here's probably the most important question I'm going to ask you today.
Sure.
What's your beef with ketchup?
Well, it's just funny. It's been misinterpreted many different ways over the past couple of weeks since I said ketchup can go fuck itself. But I didn't mean like ketchup, like, Heinz. Hey, Heinz. I actually used to work for Heinz. I was on the payroll there at one point because they sponsored me. And I have no problem with Heinz. I really have no problem with ketchup. What I really meant was ketchup on a burger is not a good thing. Right. Not a good. I could also say mac and cheese on a burger is a horrible thing. I would arguably say that mac and cheese on a burger is worse than ketchup on a burger.
People do that?
Yeah, it's actually a thing. It was like an internet meme that took off. And there was one guy in the city in New York who started putting mac and cheese on a burger, and just as a stunt in his restaurant. People were like, oh my God, they would come by and take their own pictures all over Instagram, and became a thing. And I started thinking about, like, I don't want, so I went to the restaurant and I had a bite of this burger, and I was like, bleh. It's like, why would you want to have hot, cheesy pasta in your mouth at the same time you're having like a savory, hamburger experience? You don't want that. No. But the problem is that the Instagram was perfect that way, because your brain sees burger and goes, ooh, and your brain sees mac and cheese and goes, ooh. Problem is, your brain can't put the two together until it's in your mouth, and you're like, oh, this is disgusting. Yeah. What is that? So that's the actual thing. Unfortunately, I had to say it. And there are other things I don't like either on a burger, but ketchup, I'm trying to get people off ketchup because of all the reasons historically why it's on a burger, for all the reasons that, there's an actual taste profile that's happening that should not be happening on a hamburger. And ketchup, unfortunately, is the bad guy here.
Yeah, sorry. To me, it overrides everything.
It's just the sweetness. It's just the sugar.
Yeah.
There's a donut burger out there, which, actually, honestly, I'd take the Luther burger. I don't know what the Luther burger is. Mm. The Luther burger it's a Krispy Kreme donut that's been cut in half and it uses the bun. And I'd actually take that over ketchup on a burger, because there's something about ketchup. It's just not. All you taste is ketchup. And there was a time when, kids in America, probably in the 40s, this is a bit of it's a bit of an assumption on my part, but I'm pretty sure, looking at all the history surrounding ketchup and hamburger joints, there was some mention that at some point, all the smaller burger chains like McDonald's and other restaurants that were back then, this predates Wendy's, predates Burger King, were actually putting ketchup on their burgers just to attract kids. They attract the next generation of burger lovers. Just kids like ketchup.
Yeah, first hit's free.
It's good in a sauce. Don't get me wrong. It's actually, I think ketchup is essential in a sauce. You ever had Russian dressing? Russian dressing is nothing without ketchup. You have to have ketchup in it.
And I think there was another sauce for like the Malaysian burger. You said it had some of that in the sauce itself, right? Yeah,
a lot of them do. A lot of sauces, like some of the most famous like secret sauces on burgers, they all have ketchup on them. Not all, but they probably, arguably, if I know people who have created special sauces, a lot of them have two components. The most important are obviously mayonnaise and ketchup, or at least one of the two. Yeah. Ketchup shows up on burger sauces a lot. I'm just trying to get people out to eat. Okay, if you're, put it this way, if you're in California and you get a California style burger, which is like a walk-up stand burger, a lot of times you're going to put ketchup, mustard, and mayo on the burger. Now, what happens is those three get squirted on separately, but then when you squeeze them together and take a bite, well, they're all blending together. So it's actually okay. That doesn't bother me too much.
Yeah. What bothers me is when people take a thing of fries and they just go on it. I don't know.
It's ridiculous. What are you doing? First of all, ketchup, when it comes out of the bottle, it's usually cold or room temperature, and your French fries are hot. So you just took all the temperature out of your French fries. Why would you want to do that? You're eating like oily chips. It doesn't work. Yeah.
So you got pizza, you got chili, you got barbecue, you got tacos, you got hot dogs. What else? That's the main thing for all the regional stuff. So why burgers instead of any of that stuff?
Well, in the beginning, I think everybody had a line on the good, all those other, everything you mentioned there. Tacos, people have taco stories. There's a lot of taco stuff coming out now. A friend of mine is a big taco guy in LA, and he knows all the best tacos. He knows where to go. That's kind of a newer thing to track tacos, but one of the very first foods that were tracked in America, or really traced and understood well, is the ways of barbecue. It's a truly American phenomenon, I think. Barbecue, obviously, cooking over fire happens all over the world, but the diversity of barbecue in America is unlike anything else in the world.
Yeah,
and everyone has their ways they make barbecue in the rest of the world, but in the U.S., it's debatable about which is the best, and there's lots of it. And I think there's been a lot of talk, a lot of books and TV shows about barbecue because of that. Hot dogs, same thing. There's not a whole lot of difference in hot dogs, but if you do start diving into it, you do find there's a lot of regional differences around the world, around the country in hot dogs. And one of the first guys to do that was a guy named Rick Seaback, who's a producer out of Pittsburgh. And he's actually the reason I made a hamburger movie, because I saw his hot dog movie and we were like, okay, if you can make a movie about a hot dog, you can make a movie about anything. And I remember talking to a friend of mine, what would I choose? What food subject would I choose? And hamburgers came up because no one had touched the hamburger yet. But there are the regional differences in just about every food in America. But the difference is, by the way, is that the hamburger, I believe, is one of the only real food inventions of the last 100 years or so.
Yeah.
In America. Yeah.
Yeah. Some of the ones that you highlighted really surprised me, like the Miracle Whip with peanuts.
That's a hyper regional burger, only in one restaurant. Yeah.
Yeah. And we can't have that here because they don't sell Miracle Whip over here.
But you can make Miracle Whip. You can make it.
Can you?
You can make it. It's super easy. You take regular mayonnaise and you put some sugar in it. Seriously, that's all it is. And I think you can add a little bit of paprika, some spices, but pretty much if you just take regular mayonnaise and add just a touch of sugar, stir it up and taste it, you're like, oh, hey, I made Miracle Whip.
I guess somebody could probably do the same thing over here with like the grill stuff, because over here grills are really big, where they put like the kebab. They'll do like lamb, beef, and chicken, and then you get it all served together with like the sides, pita bread, and hummus.
Do a cheeseburger kebab. Come on.
Yeah, that actually could work. They have these mini sliders they do over here. Like, you would not believe how big burgers are in the GCC, the Middle East. They're huge. Like, they're super popular here.
Oh, I know. I've consulted for a few restaurants there.
Oh, okay. I was going to ask you about that, because now every single year, the GCC, the 6 countries in the GCC, are always in the top 10 for like obesity, heart disease, diabetes, and all that kind of stuff. And it's ever since everybody came over after the first Gulf War and said, here's McDonald's, here's Burger King, here's Pizza Hut, KFC, you know what I mean? And then on top of that, all the places from France and the UK, like Australia, New Zealand, like everybody is over in these countries now. And Qatar is actually like one of the least for a lot of the fast food, but like Kuwait and UAE, like Dubai and stuff, tons,
Well, it's a lot of it's the French fries also, by the way, not the burgers.
Oh, yeah. What is it? The average American kid eats 40 pounds of French fries a year or something.
I actually don't eat French fries. I mean, I do eat them if they're very good. But for the most part, I actually stay away from French fries.
Yeah, I tend to also, especially too, because a lot of times the fries will be good at first, and then they cool down a little, and they're just.
Yeah, they're generally a letdown. I mean, people also hate it. They hate it when I say I don't like ketchup, and they hate it when I say I don't like fries. Well, my thinking is if I'm out on the road eating burgers, I'd rather save room for a second burger than fries.
Oh yeah.
And listen to your doctor. I always tell people. It's like my hamburger intake is a privilege, not a right. It is a right, obviously, but I consider it a privilege because then I get to go out. I'm actually about to go out on my bike right now when I'm done with this and go do a quick workout. But I'm on the bike pretty much every day, and I also don't eat fries. And I watch what I eat. I eat salads. I love hamburgers. I'm not going to stop eating hamburgers, even if someone told me to. But I've already cut out fries years ago. It's just a big letdown.
Yeah, you can let go of fries easy, but burgers, no. Like, what's funny is as I started watching your show and actually trying out the recipes and everything with my limited supplies and place to cook and everything, my family decided we don't like beef anymore. Ooh. So I am the only person in the house who will buy like hamburger meat or beef. So when I make burgers, I'm like just sitting there all alone. It's so sad. So the inspiration for Hamburger America was the hot dog movie?
It was the hot dog movie, and the other side of that was that no one had actually tried to make a movie about hamburgers before. There had been one other documentary about hamburgers, but it was a pile of shit. It was not a good film at all. I'm sorry, whoever made that film, I apologize, but it didn't go very deep. And I'm a big fan of, I don't know if you know the director Errol Morris. Errol Morris is a director, a documentary filmmaker, and he's a very, very specific style of documentary filmmaking. and I was actually trying to emulate his very first film. Was called Vernon, Florida. Again, it's a very unique method to making a film, where you never hear the host, you never hear. There's no graphic on the screen saying what's happening and where you are, and there's no voiceover, nothing at all. All you hear is the person speaking. And the idea was that Errol believed that if the subject couldn't tell a story, then it's not worth hearing. It's not worth telling. And so I decided to make a film where if you watch Hamburger America, my first film, it's all just the people at hamburger places, the owners really talking about why they think they're important and what kind of burger they're making.
Yeah. He's actually one of my biggest influences for my stuff. You almost never. I don't think any documentary that I've done, short or like the one feature length one I did for about the history of hip hop and guitar, because there is one.
Cool.
You don't hear my voice, you don't see my face, nothing.
Yeah.
The only time I've ever even shown myself, I think, is at the start of my show reel. That's it. Because again, I feel like the people who are in it, it's their story, so they should be telling it. You know what I mean?
Exactly. And that's exactly what Errol Morris has always done. But he's also done something fun, which I do, is that he always injects himself in the film always once. And he'll hear his voice from behind the camera say something like, "What? Are you kidding me?" Like, that's it. That's all. The only time you hear him. So in Hamburger America, you hear me say one line the entire film. I did it just for him. I did it just because I believed that you had to kind of connect back to who's making the film, just at least once. Mm-hmm. So you hear me saying, "What year is that? What year is that?" But that's all, because I was trying to help an old guy, a guy who was in his 90s, remember something. What year was that? Louis Lunch in New Haven. And but I took it very seriously. And people saw the film and they were like, "This film is bizarre." It was a little weird because it was not like any other film out there. I love what Ken Burns does. It wasn't a Ken Burns film. And it wasn't a classic news piece. It was unto itself a very unique film.
Yeah. So. Yeah, if you would have been doing a lot more filming if it was Ken Burns.
Exactly. Same amount of research, just a lot more filming.
Yeah, exactly. So you've written four? Well, technically 3, but you've rewritten so you wrote the one about the journey, the guide, and then the recipe one. So the cookbook. Yeah. Tell me about those.
So Hamburger America, the first version had 100. It was a guide to 100 great hamburgers in America. And that was rewritten about 2 or 3 years later. We added 50 restaurants to it, so it became 150. But then I remember back then we started to work on the book. We realized that unfortunately, but I tried to choose restaurants that were going to be around forever. And then, tornado comes by and rips through. Oh, not forever. Okay, whoops. And so these things happen, unfortunately. Fires, tornadoes, act of God, or just financial issues. A lot of it had to do with financial stuff. We ended up losing about, I think, 11 in the first book. So I actually had to go back and find out 150, but 161. Or I had to basically rewrite 100 or 90, whatever it was, 89, and then add another, 11 on top of that. We got to the third version of Hamburger America, which is only about 2 years ago. Okay, 2 years ago. That we had to add an additional like 20. So that was bad.
It's got like 200, right?
I had to do, what's that?
It's got like 200, doesn't it?
It's 200, yeah.
Yeah. It's
200 locations. And we're working on the next one now. I'm about to pitch the next one, which is going to happen. And it's going to be 250. Nice. So they're out there. I keep finding new stories out there. It's amazing. But the second book, between the Hamburger America 2 and 3, my agent suggested I make a cookbook. And I said, I don't know how to cook burger. I can make burgers myself. And then I realized, hey, you're absolutely right. There's method out there that I know about. So I started experimenting. And I started thinking about the method these restaurants were using to make their burgers. And I rolled it into a book.
Nice.
And I think there's 38 recipes in the book. And then we're talking about making another book that has another, 30 or 40 recipes in it from regional burgers around America.
Yeah, I definitely scooped that up. Well, it kind of hard for me over here. I'd have to get it through Amazon or whatever, but I can't just go to
It's actually out of stock. They I would try to find it in Europe. I'll tell you why, because some European, about 2 weeks ago, the European distributor bought the entire stock from the US. I don't know why. And I tried to order, I sell them on my website. I sell about a case or two a week, and I tried to order them the other day, and they said, no, we're out until January. January, come on, you kidding me? And they told me the story that somebody had purchased a large number of books for a European distributor. So you find them in Europe.
That makes sense because the show has been hitting really well. And so then all these people are like, oh man, I want to, because I know when I did some research. I knew a bunch of stuff already, but I did some more research in that so I could see what you were about before and everything. And yeah, like I was looking through the books and trying to see stuff, and I did notice sold out and that kind of stuff. And I was like, people are sitting at home, they're watching the show, they're like, man, I want to try these. So then they order it because they're stuck in their house anyway.
Yep.
Yeah. So that's the thing, man.
It did sell very well. It's been selling very well.
Yeah.
The cookbook actually is 3 years old. So, but it doesn't matter. But people say, "Oh, is the cookbook up to date?" That's timeless. You can't.
It's burgers, man.
Change. Yeah, it's burgers. The only change I think was my use of, some technical stuff about soaking wood chips for smoking. I stopped doing that obviously, but there's a couple things that some technical stuff that changed. But the book is timeless, and it's about regional burgers that'll be around forever.
Yeah. So how did you go from a DP on films, like and camera operator, all that kind of stuff? Because you DP'd some feature films, some concerts, a bunch of other stuff. You were like camera operator for some other big ones like Alfie and stuff. How did you go from that to this?
That's a good question. I don't know if you know VH1 Storytellers. I was one of the for many episodes. I was one of the handheld guys on the stage at VH1 Storytellers. That was fun.
Oh, that was cool.
I met a lot of bands, shot a lot of bands, Pretenders, Def Leppard. I mean, it was nuts. Stone Temple Pilots. That was the craziest one. Stone Temple Pilots. Woo! That was pretty wild. I saw what's his name? Right before he passed away, I saw him in a pool. I forgot his name. The lead singer of Stone Temple Pilots was in a pool. We were in a pool together in a hotel in Miami. And I said, hey, we met 6 months ago. I shot your VH1 Storyteller. He's like, oh man, that was awesome. That you shot that? Yeah, I was one of like the 9 camera people on the job. Yeah. That was pretty cool. How did they transition? It's a good question. I mean, it was really Travel Channel asking me to host Made in America, and I was confused at the outset of why they wanted me to host. I said, we want real people, not just some actor. I said, okay, well, I'll give it a shot. And the first episode we shot, where was I? The first episode we shot, I was at Jack Daniel's in Tennessee, Tennessee sipping whiskey. And I was really nervous. I didn't know what the hell I was doing. I looked at the whole crew and I said, listen, I've done everything you've done. I've been the audio guy. I've been the sound. I've been the editor. I've been the producer, director, cameraman. I've everything. I've done everything except for what I'm doing right now, being in front of the camera. So go easy on me. And they did. They appreciated it. They were all kids. They were younger than me, so they were like, okay.
Yeah. They're just like, I got a gig. This is cool.
Yeah, this guy seems weird. So, okay, whatever.
So are you still doing it at all? Other than obviously when you're shooting your own show, do you have any plans or are you working on any stuff?
Yes, good question. So Burger Scholar Sessions was a fluke. Not supposed to happen, but it only happened because of quarantine. We were working on another show, which I can't really talk about the details of it, but we were in major talks for a very big, let's get this, a travel show. So once the world unfucks itself, which I like to say, we are going to, sorry, pardon if I use language or not. But
oh, yeah, it's fine, bro. I'm ex-military, dude. Like the shit that comes out of my mouth makes sailors blush. Like it can be pretty bad. So it's all good.
I reiterate, once the world unfucks itself, I'm going to get back on the road and make the show. So that's the plan. I can't say what kind of show it's going to be or who's producing it, but we have very, very big plans for a travel show. It's going to be an international travel show for burgers. Oh, nice. So it's going to be fantastic. It's big.
That would be cool.
Big. Yeah, but for now, we're doing Burger Scholar Sessions in my kitchen.
So hopefully you could be the white guy to go to Malaysia since they co-signed you.
How? So they actually, what they referred to me as Ang Mo. I don't know if you saw that.
Yeah.
Ang Mo is literally translated means white person.
Yeah. Yeah. I lived in Korea. I lived in Japan. Oh, wow. I've been to a bunch of the other Asian countries. I'm married to like a Filipina. So Asians, man, if they actually accept you or a recipe that you did of their stuff, that's pretty big because and they're not snobs, but they're super picky. So when I saw that, I was like, oh, that's cool, man. You know,
somebody sent me the link to the Mashable piece right away, and I was like, whoa, what's happening here? And a lot of phone calls, friends of mine in Malaysia called, and they were like, what the hell's happening?
Yeah.
I was like, well, I mean, so we were actually, that's a good story, actually. We were researching the show, and I've been trying to make that burger publicly for, I would say, probably about 12 years. I knew about the burger about 12 years ago. And I'm trying to find ways to get it. First of all, I still have never been to Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia, or anywhere in the region there, except for maybe Thailand. You can't get a Ramly burger, the egg wrap burger. But I've been thinking about it for 12 solid years. And finally, there's a group of Malaysians who have a pop-up in New York City, in Queens. And they popped up at this thing called Queens Night Market. And I raced over there and got the burger, and I was like, whoa, it's exactly what I thought it was going to be. And I said, is this the Ramly burger? And he said, no, it's not Ramly. It's our burger, but it's like a Ramly. They couldn't call it Ramly. I didn't realize that Ramly was actually a brand name. So they couldn't call it Ramly. It's a brand name of a stand that makes that style of burger. And of course, everybody copies it over there and calls it their own thing. So I had it for the first time about 2 years ago. And we started talking about burger scholar sessions. I said, we got to make this burger. We got to make it happen. And I started looking really deep into this thing and said, you know what? I said to the director, we need to go deeper. We need to make sure we got the facts right. We are going to get our asses kicked if we don't get this fucking thing right. And they were like, go for it, whatever you have to do. And we spent a lot of time doing research on that just to make sure we got everything right. The fact that I called it the Sampa burger, people freaked out. They were like, it's not rubbish. And I said, well, no, but there's an actual stand that sells something they call the Sampa because they can't call it the Ramly burger. And so there were people who actually, they were Malaysians arguing with each other on YouTube saying, you're wrong. It's not a rubbish burger is a name. He's right. He's right about this. And I mean, they came
arguing on YouTube.
Yeah. Arguing on YouTube. Can you believe that?
Yeah.
So I'm really happy that it turned out. Yeah. But you should know that pretty much every single thing I do in life, I research heavily to make sure that I got it right. Because I know I put it out in the world. People are going to go, George said. Or, then I want to make sure that people appreciate what I'm saying, obviously.
No, that comes off. I definitely feel like the authenticity and how much, because you're not just like going off the cuff. You can tell, like, you don't look like you're trying to remember something or whatever, but
good.
That's one of the reasons I enjoy watching the show. I like the funny and the actual recipe and stuff, but I like learning those tidbits and everything because I've traveled all over the world too. And that kind of stuff is really interesting to me. And especially once you start traveling more, I'm not sure how much you traveled or where you've been or anything, but man, it just opens. Yeah. Okay. Exactly. So, because there's so many people who've never left America and they're like, America's the best. I'm like, okay, America's great, dude. There are so many places that have other great stuff going on. You got to get out and see it so you can actually talk about it. You know what I mean?
One of the biggest mistakes I made when I was traveling once when I was probably 21 years old, right after college, did the backpack thing through Europe. And I was afraid to eat the food thinking it's unfamiliar. I don't know what to do. So I would eat like KFC and McDonald's. And I was really upset with myself thinking like, why don't I eat the food? And then I actually went to a friend of mine was staying with a family in Paris. They invited me for dinner and they said, we're having pizza. I was like, okay, I can eat pizza. That's good. I got there and they started cracking eggs on the pizza, which I didn't know was a French thing. Mm-hmm. They make a pizza and right before it's done, they crack a bunch of eggs on top and they put it back in the oven. They bake eggs into the pizza. And I was like, what's happening? What's happening? Pizza came out and it was awesome. I was like, wow, that's amazing. And then from that point on, I think I started to open my eyes to the expectations of people, to what they were trying to feed me. I also realized, a little bit later, that if someone else, and I've taught my kids as well, if someone else is eating this thing and they're making this thing and they're also giving it to you, it can't be bad. In fact, it's probably really good. They're trying to impress you. They're going to make you great food, whether it's a restaurant or someone's house. So I've got a complete reversal since I was 21, which is many years ago. I literally eat anything. I eat just about anything, and I eat whatever's put in front of me. My daughter has this joke where she'll literally just put something in my mouth. Here, eat that, and I won't even look at her. I'll look away, and it'll be in my mouth. And she knows I'll literally put anything in my mouth. And I get sick a lot. This is what happens because I eat stupid shit, or I go too far. Yeah. Something that's too hot, too greasy, or too expired. I do that all the time. Also, I eat expired food all the time. somewhat accidentally, just doing kind of testing my body.
Yeah.
But I do from that, I really do take great pride in going to someone else's culture, world, restaurant, whatever that is, and just going with them on the journey. And I have been rewarded every single time, as you know, every time, whether it's like feijoada in Brazil, or if it's like an asado in Argentina, or if it's even like going to like an out of the way, cafe, locals only place in Paris. I am yours. Take me there. And I, as you know, you probably do this as well. You channel a little bit of Anthony Bourdain, and you figure if he can do it.
Yeah. Now I learned the way that I learned was, again, I was young. I was 18 or 19. The thing is, no matter how smart you are, you can know everything about everything in every book. At that age, you're still a dumbass. You don't know shit.
Exactly.
So you'll go someplace and, I know this and that. You don't know anything. Take it in, open up, try everything and all that kind of stuff. So I was in Korea. I was there as an Air Force firefighter.
Nice.
And then we were in Kunsan, which is like the very south part of South Korea. And we would go off base. There was the normal downtown, and then there was a place called A-Town, America Town. And A-Town, what most people went there for was the juicy girls. So girls dance on stage in bikinis and stuff. And when they get done, you can buy them a drink. They get half the drink. And then the club gets half the drink, whatever. I didn't go there for that because I was a virgin and everything else. I didn't know anything. But they had amazing food. So I would go there for like the street food and stuff. But there were some things where I was like, I'm not going to eat that. And then one night we went into this little restaurant, like a mom and pop, which are always the best. And they were like these 4 drunk Korean businessmen. And I didn't know how to use chopsticks yet or anything. And the guy sat me down. He's like, America, you sit down. So I sat down. He showed me how to use chopsticks using a beer cap of their famous beer that they have over there or whatever. And after like 5 minutes, I got it. And so now, I'm the one who uses chopsticks in my family, and then my Asian wife can't use chopsticks. So you have to go and talk to people and meet stuff. And if you get invited someplace, okay, be wary, be smart, so you don't end up like hostile or whatever. But, you should be able to vibe it out and feel if you're going to the right thing. But
I mean, all the best experience I've had have been where I've just let go. Someone says, "Oh, we're going." I was in Argentina recently, and someone said, "We're having an asado in your honor," which is, I don't know if you know what an asado is, but it's basically a barbecue.
Yeah.
And it's an asador, which is a guy or girl. I've only seen guys do it. Who actually they're in charge of the grill, and they're there for the party as well. But they really are we all bow down to the person who knows how to grill, and you try to invite like a friend who's an asador to an asado, so you can. Because it's not just, you think of the burgers and grill. We'll grill some stuff in the backyard, take 20 minutes. No. In Argentina, they grill for hours. It goes on for hours and hours and hours. The entire menu is grilled. The entire menu. And it goes on for literally for hours. And the asador is extraordinarily essential. And I was able to seal this. I was able to watch this, eat this, enjoy this, immerse myself in it. I've been to a bunch of asados now. In the middle of one, we were dragged off to a rugby match. Sound like we're like drunk and half full and daylight in this rugby match. These big guys running into each other. I was like, what the balls up in the air? I don't know what's going on. This is the weirdest sport in the world. And then what do? We go back and drink more. And they have the craziest customs and traditions. And you realize that it's only crazy because it's unfamiliar. But I realized if I got into it, that really it was a great time. I mean, absolutely unforgettable, as you can tell.
There's a similar thing over here. Is majboos, which is like a big rice meal, right? Which you probably heard of, but
no,
it depends. Oh, okay. So there's different kinds of rice. You get the yellow rice, white rice, sometimes the brown. Sometimes they mix it all together and they cook it all day with all these different sauces. Because again, it's like a regional thing, and then they have hyper regional and stuff. But sometimes they'll cook it all day and then they'll put like a lamb on it. Just sit on there and they cook the lamb. So then they bring it out to you and like the meat is just falling and you see like the full skeleton of the lamb, and you're all sitting around at the table or sometimes the floor and there's just plastic. and you just you reach in because it's this big thing, and you just take a handful and plop it down in front of you. Wow. And then, you know, they take the chunks off of the lamb, or you do, or whatever, and you just handful eat it. You know what I mean? And at first I was like, yeah, no, never. But then I got used to it. Like, and so now you go to a friend's house for like iftar on Ramadan or whatever, and they bring it out, and you're like, yeah.
It sounds amazing. It's also it's obviously a unique experience that is specific to that part of the world.
Yeah.
In the same way that regional burgers are obviously specific to regions in America, and people just think, oh, this is an American hamburger. But then you start getting into it, you say, whoa, actually, this is a very specific hamburger at a very specific place or a very specific even restaurant.
Yeah.
So it's very similar in a way. The two, I think my passion for regional hamburgers has now extended itself to the entire world and has gone beyond hamburgers. I'm very proud to say that, you know, I'm open to just about anything.
Yeah, I love your Instagram because you show not. I hate your Instagram too. I got to be honest, because every time you make one of them damn fried onion burgers, I'm just like, oh, I want one so bad, and I know I can't get it, so I got to go to like New York to get it, and obviously that's not happening.
Yes.
But I love everything else. Like the thing you put up yesterday, the tomato stuff, all that. So there's always like really good food on there. So maybe I'll try that kind of thing. But how did you go from food guy and filmmaker and stuff to the, what is it, Food Film Festival, right?
Right. So that's actually happened. So I run something called the Food Film Festival, which has actually been running in tandem to my hamburger life. In fact, if you think about it, I began with the Food Film Festival at the same time that my hamburger film, Hamburger America, came out. And the reason the two are connected, I'll explain in 1 second. Makes more sense if I put it this way, is that I'm the director of something called the Food Film Festival in New York. We've also done events all over the world and in different parts of the country, but it's really based in New York City. Unfortunately, we postponed this year because of all the obvious reasons, because we are a very food intensive travel / theater show. We couldn't do it. All those things, travel, theater, not going to happen. So we postponed. We're doing a virtual one in March, but it was going to be our 14th year at the Food Film Festival. And the idea, it's very simple. Where you go to a theater and you pay a price to go there, and everything's included. You sit down in the theater, and there could be 10 short films happening. And as you're watching each film, you know, maybe the first few films, you know, they're short films, 3 or 4 minutes, and they're about appetizers and drinks. And then the middle films of the program are about main courses. And then you end up with a few short films about sweets. So you actually sort of have the taste of a meal in your seat. And after you've gone through this entire moment, where what's actually happening is, as you think to yourself, oh God, I got to have that thing, it suddenly appears, it's all timed, and it appears in your seat and in the theater. A small taste, small bite. Yeah. So you're thinking, I've got to taste that, or I don't want to taste that, but I wonder what it looks like. There it is, right in front. Oh, there it is. And then when the films are over, the program is usually about an hour and a half, not even. People get on stage and explain themselves, filmmakers, actors, people who are in the films, chefs get on stage. And then the entire audience goes into an after party where you get to have more of all the food you saw on the screen. And it's an extraordinarily immersive moment for food lovers and restaurants and chefs, and people travel from all over the world to come to this festival. And it's so much fun. It's I hate to say it, it's an exclusive festival, but we sell out every year in a couple of days. And we only have enough room for 350 people per screening. So we do 4 screenings. So it's technically it's exclusive. We hate the fact that it is, but there's no way to produce the event without making it, you know, somewhat intimate at 350 people to get all the chefs from all over the world. It's absolutely incredible. But so the reason the festival started to begin with was because I made a film about hamburgers, and we showed the film at an event at a friend's restaurant. And we said, why don't we make the burgers that are in Hamburger America for the audience? And the audience freaked out. And I said to the friend of mine who we had become one of my partners in the business, I said, we should probably show other films and serve other foods. And then the Food Film Festival was born. So the rise of the hamburger, my hamburger world, was happening the exact same time as the rise of the Food Film Fest. And they both seem to be successful together. I'm very happy about that. Yeah, if not financially successful, at least critically successful.
Yeah. that's the thing, man. It's like you might not make a whole lot of money out of it, but is it something you look forward to? Is it something that other people enjoy? And sharing those films and the food, and it's helping other chefs and filmmakers and getting them on and that kind of stuff. For me, that's a big deal. Um,
Absolutely.
but when I was looking at it, I was like, oh man, this looks so cool. I wish I could go here and check it out. And there's two places in America, or three right now, that I always look at stuff and I'm like, oh, I wish I was there. The New York, New Orleans, and Austin.
Yeah.
Because they all have like really cool, good food and cool places. And,
Right.
I mean, a lot of places in America do, but those are like three that I really like. I went to Albany when I was a kid, but I've never been to like New York, like
Oh,
New
wow.
York City. And
Geez.
which is,
You got to go. I mean, New Orleans is a great choice. We just went to, my girlfriend and I went to New Orleans for a vacation. I actually went specifically for a 3-day eating vacation.
Mhm.
And we ended up eating 38 different things in 3 days. And the last thing we ate was on an airplane. We took something to go and ate this enormous sandwich, this po' boy on the airplane.
Yeah, po' boys, baby. How many beignets did you have?
We had 2 different places, so we're not too. I mean, I probably had like 6, 7 total. They're hard to stop eating.
Oh yeah, they're so good, man. And other people try to do them, but it's not the same. So
it's actually very difficult to do.
Yeah. Speaking of traveling and food, this is going to be a hard question, but what is the best burger in America for you? Like, if you can have any burger any day of the week, there's this one.
I don't play favorites. You don't want to hear that, but I don't play favorites. Sorry. I can't do it.
That's fine.
Only because it's disingenuous for me to play favorites. As far as I'm concerned, my favorites are the ones in my cookbook and in my book, and the ones I talk about on the show. Unless I say on the show I don't like it. One of my favorite burgers to actually make, obviously, is the fried onion burger. And there's a bunch of reasons why. The number one reason is it tastes amazing. The Oklahoma fried onion burger is truly unto itself a flavor profile like no other. And if you make it correctly, which I think I finally got to that point 3 years later after making them for many years, is that if you get the onions cooked 3 different ways, the onions on the very edge are crispy and almost burnt. And the ones that are closer to the patty are caramelized perfectly. The ones that don't actually see a whole lot of griddle time are just steamed and soft and wonderful. And each one of those flavor profiles blends into the beef tallow, the beef fat, the rendered fat, and no toppings at all. And somehow grease as a condiment totally works with this. So you get the combination of the rendered beef fat, the rendered onion juice, and it's really, and of course, the American cheese, which is another, as the salty component comes from the American cheese, and it's a great thing. The other reason that it's so important to me is because the fried onion burger is probably the most important American hamburger, because it has roots it has DNA that goes back to the very beginning.
Is there anyone in particular from around the world that you like to make?
You broke up there for 1 second. Repeat the question. Sorry.
Oh, okay. I said, is there any one international one you like to make a lot? Just for you to eat, like not a favorite place or anything.
I mean, I didn't like making the Ramly burger, the Malaysian egg burger. I didn't like making that one because it's too complicated.
Tricky. Yeah. When you did the egg, I was like, no, I'm definitely failing that.
Yeah. Not really. I mean, I'm trying to think if there's any, but unless I'm missing something. I can't think of anything out there in the world that I would want to make on a regular basis. But a lot of them are very difficult. A lot of them are very hard to make.
What's like a joint that you like to go back to as often as you can? I know you have all these favorites and stuff, but if like maybe you've got good friends there or something like that.
I mean, some of the earliest ones from my love of hamburgers, the Apple Pan. Apple Pan is sort of where my love of the American hamburger started. Apple Pan is a place in LA. It's fantastic. They haven't changed a thing. So the owners did change recently, and they better not change one damn thing, or they're going to be hearing from a lot of people, not just me. It'll be fun. Apple Pan is a classic old counter from the 40s in LA. But there's so many. I don't know where to. I mean, I have friends in Florida who make great burgers. They make something very specific called the Cuban frita. A lot of burgers in South Florida, but you're really not enjoying burgers in Florida unless you're having a Cuban frita. And some people are afraid to go venture into, the Cuban neighborhoods in Florida. If you're not from South Beach, or not from Miami, if you're from somewhere else in the world, some people are actually afraid to go to these neighborhoods, which is so stupid because the food is so good.
Yeah,
so good.
Oh, go ahead.
Yeah. Also, and pub burger. I mean, pub burgers in New York City are fantastic. For me, a real standby is to go sit at the bar. What can I get you? It's like a beer and a burger.
Yeah.
Done. It's as simple as that. And the uncomplicated burger shows up on a bun with American cheese, maybe some pickles, and that's it. And that is all you need. In fact, I'm about to do that right now. Once I finish my bike ride, I'm going to go sit at the bar and have a burger.
Yeah, we don't really have that kind of place over here. There's no like one-off or mom and pop things, and the ones that are, they're basically, I want to be like Shake Shack. They're like the potato bun or whatever, the thin, which like the ones that we have that everybody gets or goes to is Fat Burger, Johnny Rockets, Elevation, Shake Shack, and Five Guys.
Yeah, Five Guys is good.
Yeah, out of all of them, I mean, whatever, I'm down for a burger anytime, at least from these places. Not so much like a lot of the big time fast food, or it's, take it out of the freezer, done, no thank you. But I definitely like Five Guys. It reminds me of like a barbecue, like going to having a burger at somebody's house or something.
Yeah, it's very, very straightforward, which is what I like about it a lot.
Yeah. Lettuce wrap burger. What do you think?
It's a waste of time. I mean, if you're, you're not eating glutens or whatever, sure, I get it. And honestly, I'll put it this way: if you have a gluten intolerance, it is the best way to have a burger, because the worst thing you can do is have a gluten-free bun. Sorry, but the gluten-free buns, they just haven't figured it out yet. They're horrible. They're really bad. Yeah. Most part, there's a good one out there. Send me one. I've never had one. But the lettuce wrap is it's a better way to go. Sure. Iceberg is actually it's an unsung hero of the hamburger.
Got to be Iceberg.
In case you're wondering, by the way, I've been testing a lot of old timey recipes. That's why I've had the wedge salad this week, and you saw on Instagram the tomato aspic. I'm working on a lot of old school recipes. We're working on something I can't talk about, but we're working on sort of bringing back some forgotten recipes.
Yeah, I love wedge salad. Like, there's an Irish pub in Florida where I live, and it's like a big thing of lettuce, fresh. They cut it and they put their house-made Thousand Isle on it, a little bit of cheese, and that's it, man. And every time I order that, I'm full by the time my food gets there, but I'm okay with it.
Me too.
I don't mind the lettuce wrap. Sometimes I get it just for a different taste or whatever, but I'm definitely more of the buns and that kind of thing. Special sauces is what's your favorite to like make for yourself or whatever?
I'm not a big fan of any sauces. I think that grease is a condiment. But if I have to make a sauce, there's a bunch actually I actually do like that are specifically regional. But one of my favorites is probably something called fry sauce, which you find on burgers and obviously on fries in Utah. Utah fry sauce is actually called, and it's a very basic ketchup mayo again, with a few other ingredients. It's almost like a Thousand Island dressing, very close to a Thousand Island dressing, but there are a few more ingredients in there, like a little bit of paprika, a little bit of onion powder. If you let dried, like dehydrated onions, bloom in a sauce overnight, it's out of control. It's really an amazing thing. I made a burger in Paris. I was on the line in a restaurant in Paris, and they asked me to make something. Can you make a burger that's like an American burger? So I basically made like a version of the like an In-N-Out double, but instead of putting their sauce on it, I put fry sauce on it. And it became known as the American. Oh, okay, there we go. And so that was actually really, people flipped out. They liked that burger a lot. So the combination of I actually had Martin's potato rolls, 2 patties, American cheese, pickles, onion, tomato, and then this fry sauce on there. It was a pretty incredible burger. That just made me hungry, by the way, thinking about it.
Yeah, my stomach's like grumbling and stuff. So you're like me, but for me, it's like video gaming. I do some food stuff. I have a thing I do called Gamer Fuel, because for me, movies and gaming food goes kind of hand in hand with that. Well, depending on what you're playing and stuff, but
Yeah.
so it tends to be like snack related or whatever.
Yeah.
So I did like how to make Southern sweet tea, which a lot of people really liked over here because they don't have it. And then I did how to make a homemade burrito that tastes like a frozen burrito because you can't get, they don't have frozen burritos here. That's why.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So, but in the midst of the filmmaking and the writing, the book and all that stuff, how did you have time to be in a band, Toss?
That's a good question. So Toss was actually a band. That band broke up in 2005. So it kind of actually all happened at the same moment where as the Food Film Fest and the Hamburger stuff were starting, my band was ending. So I didn't really have time. That's why I sort of when the band ended. I mean, but the way any band breaks up, it's because, the guys don't get along in the band. In our case, we all got along. We're good friends, but we all were starting to make babies and, get married and, buy homes and have real jobs. Back then, we didn't really have real jobs. Now, one friend of mine is a very famous actor. I shouldn't say very famous. He's a well-known actor. There's been a lot of comedy commercials. Another friend of mine, the lead guitarist, he owns his own publishing company. I mean, we've all gotten very busy, so it did sort of fall apart, unfortunately. We had a great time. We had a great time doing reunions. We do this thing where if we find all four of us are at the same party together, and we look over, there's a stage with equipment on it. We say, "What do you want? You want to get up there and play?" I'm like, "Yeah, let's do it." So once in a while, we'll actually kick out one or two songs. And I would say we've probably done it about 5 times in the last 10 years where we've been at a place where there's been that setup where we're there, the equipment's there, and people want to do it. And they say, "Yeah, sure, let's do it." And then we get them to play 2 songs for fun.
We started a band over here. Actually, we had one of the a really famous oud player and singer over here. Oud is like an Arabic guitar, and we had another guy who was really good at piano. My wife, she can sing really well. I can play like the cajon,
nice.
And do some bass stuff, whatever. Not like bass guitar, but like bass voice stuff. And then we had another lady who was a singer. We practiced for weeks. We did one show. While we were doing the show, I filmed, and then one of the singers, the other one, she got cold feet. She only did one song, and like halfway, she kind of froze, and it threw a lot of our rhythm off, which we were fine with. So she was only in one of the videos. So afterwards, she got angry. She was only in one video. It caused a big fight. Band over.
That's what happened. We were together for 10 years. It's amazing that bands can stay together for that long to begin with. So it's tough. Egos were usually, honestly, you saw this. Egos break up a band. Drugs, Fortunately, drug abuse breaks up a band also. We didn't have those problems. We just got too busy. It was just got too busy, and Yeah,
it seemed kind of like a wholesome. I mean, I'm sure you guys had fun and did your thing, but it seemed like because you guys just looked like regular '90s looking guys.
We were. In retrospect, that's what we were. We were just regular, and we loved what made the band so great was that we all loved the sensationalism of rock music. We loved like we used to rehearse in a place that had a mirror across the way, and we could see ourselves playing, and we actually watch ourselves play, and we loved it. We said so. We would do these stunts where there were 3 guitars in the band. There were two 6-string guitars. And we did, similar, where we'd actually line up, we'd look at ourselves in the mirror, we could actually play and move our guitars at the same time.
Like Motley Crue.
Yeah, exactly. That was the idea. We were channeling Motley Crue, we were channeling Weezer, we were channeling Styx. I mean, we had a lot going on. And one of our favorite things to do was that we did a stadium wave at the end of every show, where the drummer would jump up from behind the drums and do this, and then we'd all do like all together 1, 2, 3, and all bow at the same time and wave. And it was there were 2 people in the audience. We would do the stadium wave. It was ridiculous.
Yeah.
We believed in the sensationalism of music, and we had a lot of fun with it for sure.
Yeah, you guys could definitely jam. But when I looked at you, it reminded me of like Helmet, or like you said, Weezer. Just like regular looking dudes that can like really rock,
Yeah, Helmet is wow. That's true. We weren't like a bunch of like strung out like tattoo covered weirdos. We were just guys, Yeah. I mean, think about what Rivers Cuomo did for like the image of rock and roll. he's so pure looking, and I don't think he's got some issues here, but he's not like, you can tell he's wholesome as hell. He's just whatever issues he's having they're just normal issues. They're not anything out of control. He's not driving cars into off bridges and doing tons of drugs. Yeah. He's actually telling all of his angst through music, and it's working. Yeah. We did the same thing.
So nowadays, obviously the band's done, but you're doing writing, filmmaking, hosting, musician. Well, sometimes, obviously, because you got your guitar, and you did it in one of the episodes. You played your guitar, right?
I did. Yeah. We were trying to find different ways to
put little things in the middle.
More known. So pick up the guitar, and I do actually track some of my own stuff. Whenever I have a film or some content, I'll pick up the guitar and just play something quick, just so I have some filler for something.
Like John Carpenter.
Like, right. That's what I say. Yeah. Do something, fill something, put something in here, anything.
And obviously you're doing your cooking, doing the burger slide thing. So, dude, what do you do for time management? What's the secret?
The secret is, it's a good question. I don't really, my time management is usually a disaster. I have a girlfriend who is very good at these things, and she sort of organizes my brain sometimes, and she'll make me, I'm known for my lists. I don't know if you know about this. New York Times did an article about me, and they were fascinated about my lists. And I was like, it's just a to-do list. And they said, no, we want to see your list. And I don't do it anymore, but I still think about this all the time. I make a list, and the list could have, 50, 60 things I have to get done in one day. And instead of putting them all on one piece of paper where the writing is very small, I type all this stuff and then print it out. So I have a printed sheet of what I have to do during the day. But what I've been doing, I've been making the print bigger because I'm getting older and I can't really see without glasses sometimes. So I'm making the print bigger. So in order to see the list, I actually it'll print out as like 5 or 6 sheets, and I tape them all together in this big, long, like Santa scroll. And the New York Times is fascinated by this. What's the big deal? It's like, because no one does this. This is weird. Yeah. But the only way I can do it is I have to be able to visualize it, see it, and then cross it off. Yeah. So, but I've got lists going. I want to show you what shit. Yeah, there you go. Hang on a second.
So do you have to like look under your glasses sometimes to read stuff like I have to do now? Yeah, I have to do that now.
I'm going to show you. This is a 2-day list. This is about 2 days of my life without like getting into like the details of like what's on it. But it's like some stuff gets printed on there, some gets written. It's just a matter of trying to find, the balance. It's not easy at all. And I obviously have to pick and choose the stuff that's important and what's not important.
Are you a big stuff or little stuff first?
So I do both. I put out fires first. That's the most important part.
Yeah.
I put out fires. Me putting out fires is important because you can't have fires. You can have one fire. You can't have like 10 fires going at the same time. So a lot of it's like putting out fires. People have requests, and I have a lot of requests for interviews, obviously, which is fun. This is why I openly do them, because I love doing interviews. Then I don't have to do the list. But the small stuff is also important. It's all very important. Like I have on my list, I have, get rid of box in front hall. It's like there's a box in my front hall. It's been there for 24 hours, not that long. Yeah. But I got to get it out of here. It's a box of something. Somebody sent me a gift. I don't know what it is, but I have to open it up and see what the hell's in there.
They want you to do a mukbang or whatever.
Right.
So
almost could be.
I know you're super busy, so we're almost done. Tell me about the business, like the burger slide, and how you've been dealing with Corona, and how the fried onion burger is doing for you in New York, and also like the beef and why you use that particular one, that kind of stuff.
Okay. Well, for starters, we were totally thrown for a loop whenever we had the lockdown in New York City. It was brutal, and it was very frightening because whenever we heard what was going on, right away, I had an event booked in April in Japan, and it was actually, we were going to have the first annual George Motz Burger Fest in Tokyo. It's supposed to be a 3-day festival, 2 days of food film fest stuff, and then 1 day of this Burger Fest. And obviously, we started looking at what's going on over there. My daughter, at the same time, had a trip planned to China, going to near Wuhan, and that was right away canceled. They got a call from the school, and they said, we're canceling the trip to Wuhan. If you watch the news, and this is like the first week of January. I said, oh, wow. So I'm thinking, I saw that happen. And we had a plan where my daughter was going to go travel from her trip to China and fly over to Japan to be part of the Food Film Fest and the Burger Fest. And we saw all of this start to fall apart. I already had tickets for her and everything. And right away, probably in the middle of January, they canceled the Japan trip. And I said, okay, that's one of 15 things that could potentially go away. But everything else is in America, except for maybe is one trip I had planned to Paris. There's a big trip to Stockholm. I was working on things to Spain. And all of it started to just crumble, fall apart. And within a week, I lost 15 events in 1 week. And so brutal. I get compensated well to show up to these events. And I have the greatest time. And for me, traveling and meeting people and making new friends and eating all this amazing food is also the biggest bummer. I mean, the money's money, but the most important thing is like having these experiences and spreading the burger love all went away immediately. So we were sitting around trying to figure out what the hell to do. And we're also just, at the same time, we were also planning on opening a restaurant. We have investors in an investor group, and we have a management group, and we've all been trying to figure out a way. And we've actually got far along with lawyers and real estate and everything. And everything just came to a screeching halt. Everybody went inside to hide, and there was no way we were going to be able to open a restaurant. So now I can't open a restaurant. I can't travel. So what the hell am I going to do? This is how I make money. So the first thing we thought of was we have to find a way to sell burgers. Because I somehow get burgers to people. And the idea we had, since we were stuck at home, was I ripped apart a piece of a closet in my house.
Is that how you made it?
Yeah.
I was wondering because it looks really professional. Like it's like a panel that goes inside of a closet for like putting accessories on. And I wasn't using it. So I pulled it off the wall and I put 2 pieces of wood down the side I had in my house. And made it so it had guides, and we just stuck it out the front window of my house right here. And we made it long enough so that it was 6 feet long. But the real reason was it was 6 feet to begin with. I didn't make it 6 feet. It was a 6 foot piece of wood from the inside of my closet, and it actually reached perfectly from my front window out to the front fence. And we leaned it on the fence. It was the perfect angle. We put a stop on the end, so if we sent a burger down, it wouldn't go flying off. We did a bunch of tests. And then I said, you know what? I want to make this happen. And we set up a socially distant app so you could actually buy a burger or two at 2:00. And then you show up at my window at 2:00 and the window opens up and out comes the burger. And if you were late, your burger was cold. If you were early, you had to wait 2 minutes, but we were on time. We tested the whole thing. We timed the entire process of making the burger, bagging it, and getting out to people. And it worked perfectly. And of course, having a very organized girlfriend was the real key to that one. I was not going to figure this out on my own. I was like, oh, yeah, sorry, your burger's an hour late. Can you wait outside for a minute? But she was like, by the book. She wanted to make sure we had this thing completely organized. And it was perfect. And it came off perfectly. And then we did more and more and more. And we had to move out of the house, move the slide away from the house because it got too popular. And people walk by my house and be like, is this the burger slide house? And I would say, no, not at all. Go away, please. So we started moving it to bars. We started to partner with bars and restaurants that needed some bump in business, especially bars, by the way. Bars are great because and if you know what happened in New York was that everybody had moved their restaurants outside to the street. You couldn't serve inside until about a month ago. And now that's also going away as well. So it's pretty much just an outdoor world right now for restaurants. So we would set up next to the outdoor restaurant in a tent, and we would sell burgers to on the same app. And people would walk up, get their burgers, and have a couple of drinks at the bar. Yeah, that's awesome.
I think we kind of saved it in a way, and it's been very, very popular. And for example, there's the slide this Thursday. It's actually one of the last slides of the season because it's getting too cold here. But we put the tickets on sale, and we were pretty much totally sold out within the first 2 hours.
Yeah,
and that's 4 hours of burgers. So it's crazy.
How cold is too cold for you guys?
Well, it's hard to make burgers when it's below 40. So, 40 degrees Fahrenheit.
Yeah.
I don't know what that is.
I don't know. They do Celsius here. Because Americans, we're kind of like willing morons in a lot of ways. like we're the only country left, I think, that does, what is it, the imperial system or whatever.
Yeah.
Everybody else. So I'm learning like all of my metric stuff, and I've gotten most of it. But there's some where I'm just like Celsius, I think is times 2 plus 7 or something, whatever.
I'm gonna look it up right.
So obviously you've got that going on. What else can people?
No, it's 4.5 degrees Celsius. Just so once it gets 4.5 degrees Celsius, then it's too cold to cook outside. Yeah.
No. Okay. Yeah. Over here, it's like just now starting to cool off.
Oh yeah. Oh right.
Because it's like 120 in the summer. Yeah, it's bad. And then sometimes, like if you're on the coastline, 120 plus humidity.
Oh,
it's insane.
Damn.
Yeah, I did a film shoot, a video shoot in Kuwait during a paintball tournament. Everybody's in full gear and pads and everything. Yeah. And it equaled out to 124 plus humidity. Ooh. We still did the tournament, man. Insane. It's one of my best videos too, by the way.
So if I can visit, I should come in the dead of winter.
Yeah, that's the best time. So where can anybody find you on the internet? What other projects do you have going on? Like, what do you want people to know?
Well, opening a restaurant. That's the next plan. I can't tell you where. I can tell you, though, it's going to be in Brooklyn. That much we know. And I can also tell you it's going to feature, very likely feature the fried onion burger because it's selling very well. I can't tell you where or when. I mean, we're still working on trying to make this happen. Everything's been slowed down because of COVID. But look for the hamburger restaurant, unnamed. We still haven't even named it yet, but we're getting there. That's happening soon. You can find me the best way to find me is on Instagram at Motzburger, Motzburger on Instagram, or my website, which is georgemotz.com. On georgemotz.com, I have all of my videos and everything that you see on Burger Show and Burger Scholar Sessions on YouTube and First We Feast. It's all on there.
Yeah. I'm definitely going to be buying a bunch of the merch. Like I love the Grease is a Condiment shirt.
Yeah, yeah, it's a good one.
But yeah, I'm going to be buying a bunch of stuff. I'll be buying the books, all that from there, because I'm about to finally get a PO box. Because over here, like the postal system doesn't work like it does in the States. It's so complicated, and a lot of times you're not even sure if you're going to get what you ordered and everything.
Yeah. I've noticed that. That's why we actually stopped shipping internationally. For the last 8 months or so, we've not done anything worldwide because it's been hit or miss. We've had people missing packages and it's been horrible. Yeah. But yeah, if you have a PO box, use that, man. That's the way to do it.
But that was even before Corona, bro. So after Corona, it's gotten 10 times worse.
Way worse. I mean, we shipped a bunch of stuff out. It was lost immediately. And this happened. So,
yeah. But I just want to say again.
I think it was the U.S. Postal Service fault, though. Not Anyway.
Yeah, and then you got customs. A lot of places overseas are super strict about things. So you'll get stuff not just here, but like in the Middle East in general, and like half your stuff is gone. Like why? Like we can't get batteries, standalone batteries for cameras. Yeah. So I can't use like a nice camera. Like I have to use this Logitech, whatever. I want to do like a Panasonic or a Canon with a dummy battery, but because I can't buy dummy batteries here.
Right. Yeah. Oh, wow. Well, I mean, like the time I shipped American cheese to Paris overnight. Yeah. Guess where it ended up?
Yeah.
Back in my house 5 weeks later.
How was it?
It was okay. I actually almost ate a slice. Because I picked it up and it was like, feels okay. Hasn't been refrigerated. It's been 90 degrees out, but it didn't melt. It's good.
It's like a Twinkie. Or a cheeseburger from McDonald's. So I just want to say thank you for being on the show. This is a real honor for me. Like I said, you're one of my favorite hosts, and definitely just like one of my people that I think are super interesting and fun and have been like a bright spot during this whole pandemic for me. Like even my wife, who doesn't eat burgers, watches the show and she's really into it. She'll say, "Oh, that looks good." Of course, she won't eat it, but like the Asian one especially, she was like, "Oh, this looks yummy." I'm like, "Well, let me make it or try to." And she's like, "No." But no, thank you again, man. It means a lot. So I know you're.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me on. I appreciate it. You're a great interviewer.
My thanks. So yeah, look out, Sean.